I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Marine City Commission to order at 7 o'clock on May 7th, 2015. We have Pastor Joe here tonight who's going to lead us in prayer, and immediately after that we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come before you right now in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we need to turn to you and turn to your word, like the word says that Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says to trust in you with our whole heart, not to lean to our own understanding, but to just acknowledge you. We acknowledge you in every move we make. Father, you would direct our path. We look to you for direction. So Father, I pray blessing upon this meeting. I pray for favor upon this meeting. And I pray for the Spirit of God to come here and rest, Father. Let the peace of God that passes all understanding rest in this room right now, Father. We look to you, the author and the finisher of our faith, and we thank you, we praise you, we bless you, we give you all the glory and all the honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Scatard.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Lovett.
Here.
Commissioner Malley is
Here.
Oh, you're here now. Commissioner Simpson.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Acting City Manager Tillery is absent this evening, and City Jim Downey is here as well.
On to.
Should we excuse that?
Yeah, I think so. We probably should.
Make a motion to excuse acting city manager.
Support?
The motion is support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? He has been excused. We have item 4, which is communications. We have item 4A, which is Aaron Atkinson. He's got a water certificate. We got item 4B, which is a letter from Council on Aging. And we've got item 4C, which is Michigan Municipal League Workers' Comp Fund Proof of Insurance.
Make a motion to approve, accept the communications and place them on file. Support?
Motion support. Any comments on the communications?
Just one. The Council on Aging, is this something we should consider having further discussion on?
They did offer if someone wishes to have someone come and speak on that. I certainly don't think it hurts to hear what they have to say. Yeah. It's the first time I recall them making a request of this kind.
Right. Well, it's not on the agenda, it's just communication. And if they want to have somebody, are you saying they would like to come to a meeting and be on the agenda?
Yeah, they offer that up.
Yeah.
It's
at our request.
Yeah.
So we could put it on a
Future.
Yeah, we can reach back out to them and say, hey, please join us in a meeting. Let's discuss what you're...
I mean, they're asking for money and then they want to come and talk about it.
They do quite a bit, and the Washington Life Center does quite a bit. It would be nice to just hear them out and see what they have to say. It's not like it's an annual request, so perhaps their situation has changed.
Would you like me to contact them?
Yeah, at least invite them to a meeting to be on our agenda.
We could put them well, I don't know about the next meeting. It might not be the right meeting, but maybe a following meeting in June or something.
Right, thank you.
Commissioner Hendrick, did you have something else?
No, it was the same issue.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Board. Moving on to public comment. Residents are welcome to come to the podium and address the Commission. You're asked to state your name and address, and please keep your comments to under 5 minutes, and I will be enforcing that strictly because of the amount of people here. So please be considerate, and when you hear the buzzer go off, please stop your comments. Sir?
James Kane, 204 West Boulevard. I would like to ask the city to put a guardrail in the alley behind my house to stop the flow-through traffic on between 2nd and 3rd and Fairbanks and West Boulevard. to be put on the west side of my property line. That's what I'm asking.
Have you talked to the city office about that?
I talked to DPW and that, and they said that I had to bring it to you.
Okay, well, is this, this is public comment, this is really not part of the agenda, so that's about all we can do. We heard you, and I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McCarthy?
Good evening. My name is Joe McCarthy. I live at 2041 South Parker Street, and I was here at your meeting with a number of my neighbors concerned about a fence or the lack of the enforcement of the fencing ordinance, or the zoning ordinance to be more specific. At the 4-2 meeting, April 2nd meeting, you heard it, you added it to the agenda. We had asked to be on the agenda. It was not put on the agenda. It was added at the meeting itself. You had a discussion. You had made a motion. You directed the attorney to prepare an opinion with respect to these issues of the zoning ordinance, and it was specifically spelled out in one of the letters from the residents there, as well as myself. And specifically, we were asking about the section 160.254 of the zoning ordinance. And that wasn't done. And yet the fence goes up. The conversation I had with Mr. Tillery was that he did follow the direction of the board. He did contact Mr. Downing. That Mr. Downing wrote a letter. I asked for a copy of it. He said that it was stand confidential. He would have to talk to the mayor or to Mr. Downing, and that he could not release it to me without that. He informed me that in a later conversation that he spoke to the mayor. The mayor refused to release the letter because it was stamped as confidential, attorney product, what have you. I asked him to speak to Mr. Downing, and I never got a call back from Mr. Tillery, which has been a common practice with some of our residents of not getting calls back when we're told Mr. Tillery will contact us. What I'm concerned about is, in talking to Mr. Tillery, he indicated to me that nowhere in the letter, which he would not give me, is the section referenced, discussed, analyzed, or reviewed by the attorney. He said that it had to do with buffering, landscaping, or what have you, and that didn't apply, in Mr. Downey's opinion, to the situation. I agree. My guess is that he was referencing section 160.219, having to do with landscaping, screening, green belts, buffers, and fencing. That's a situation where you have, for example, a residence up against a neighborhood business or some other non-residential use. And it provides for fencing or buffering or walls or landscaping, some sort of a buffer. That's what that section applies to. And in the conversation with Mr. Tillery, that sounded like the gist of what Mr. Downing was talking about. It doesn't make sense to me that the first letter, which we received from the attorney for the woman that has the fence, that's titled Fence Ordinance Review by Mr. Downing. There's no stamp on this. And yet there's a stamp on another letter when you directed him to prepare it. I don't understand what this board has a problem with the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meeting Act is to conduct the public business in public. And there's any number of things that come to my attention that's not being done. I have several requests. I would like to have a motion made by this board to have Mr. Downey review the section that he did not review, which was section 160.254. I would like a copy of the motion to go into executive session. And the Opening Meeting Act does not provide for executive session, it provides for closed sessions. And it has very narrow examples. And it says you must make a motion to go into a closed session. And with respect to communicating with an attorney, typically it's to have to do with pending litigation, a lawsuit. And if you go to the Attorney General's website, there's about a 20-page pamphlet that's easily understood that all of you might want to review before you go into an executive, quote, executive session, really a closed session. But I'd like a copy of the motion for the last meeting of April 16th that you went into executive session or closed session for. With respect to the Open Meetings Act, I think your acting commissioner violated that when he sent out a memorandum or email to all the members of this board to give, quote, the whole story or his version of it as respecting the issue in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Ma'am.
My name is Heather Warner, 345 North Elizabeth. My purpose is to discuss the now 5 mil tax increase proposed by the PA 33 special amendment. I am asking that you review the budget and make the necessary cuts this year so the citizens of Marine City do not have to incur an additional tax increase. We already have the water increase to deal with this year and possibly sidewalks at the owner's expense. Adding 5 additional mills to our taxes this year would put too much financial burden on the residents of this town. Here are some ideas of how to make this work. Cut the 2% raise out of the budget. Don't add the additional police officer from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Don't pay $6,000 for Heslop to go to commander school. Don't buy a new dump truck for $40,000 since we just purchased one last year. I attended the town hall meeting back in April, and there was overwhelming response in revisiting the numbers given to bringing the sheriff versus Marine City Police Department. A few weeks later, I see an article in the newspaper stating the mayor didn't feel the quote for the sheriff while Tillery was acting city manager was acceptable at this time. I feel there were great ideas at this town hall meeting for people to work together and solutions to city issues were discussed, but I feel we were heard and no one listened. Most of you know I am currently working on an informal petition to present when we have our official public meeting. I am hoping that we will acquire enough signatures that the commission will take this into consideration before casting their vote to approve the PA 33 special amendment. We will take this to a legal level if the commission passes the millage increase. By getting the legal petition, we will obtain 10% of the registered voters' signatures, forcing you to put this on the ballot and let the residents make the choice by casting their vote. I am trying to save everyone time and money by resolving this problem now instead of later. I would also like to ask the board if you have put together a packet to the citizens regarding the public hearing information on Public Act 33. Another community did this a few years back and provided their citizens with information packet which included information about what is PA 33, why the need for the special assessment, what steps were being taken to reduce expenditures, an outline of prior years and current years, detailed information on dollars and cents, and the rights of the citizen. I hope that on the day of the public meeting, you will have the proper information available to Marine City residents. In closing, I am asked that we look for a resolution to eliminate the PA 33 special amendment and readjust our budget to make it work for the 2015-2016 fiscal year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Janet DeMist. I reside at 308 Ward Street in the city of Marine. Before I begin, I would like to sincerely thank everyone on this board for their services. Thank you very much. Well, with that being said, I want to speak to you about a few things. Let's begin with catchphrases that we have all heard of and known and have said through the years. In 1939, Judy Garland coined the phrase, "There's no place like home in the Wizard of Oz." In 1941, Humphrey Bogart said, "Here's looking at you, kid." And in 1960, Janet Leigh warned us about those blackbirds. Watch out for those birds. How many of us were even afraid to walk out the door after that movie? Well, through the times, we've heard a number of catchphrases, such as we speak, "My hands are tied," "That's an issue," "It's in the toolbox." Well, our catchphrase is, "Please stop throwing Marine City residents and taxpayers under the bus." Our issue is we cannot handle increases. In Psychology 101, you learn the word empathy. This board must have empathy. We cannot handle increases. Mr. Robert Therrett taught my class bookkeeping. We learned the meaning of a budget. You must also. Another wonderful teacher, Mrs. Martha Kessel, advised us in English, look up that word, become familiar with it. I now reference the word frugal. Its meaning is to be careful about spending. It's not cheap. It means don't be wasteful. Please review, budget, and be frugal. In conclusion, you can spin this any way you want and say, oh, you people are just being so negative. But remember this. The bottom line principle is Marine City residents are feeling totally browbeaten. We are asking for your help. Look at the individual tree, not the entire forest. The scales of justice, and the attorney is familiar, the scales of justice are falling over. Balance is in jeopardy. Stop the burden for Marine City taxpayers by making wise decisions. Mrs. Ronald Reagan said, just say no. Thank you.
Nope.
I did not, right? My name's Ray Squires. I live at 211 Michigan. The Voice recently reported that St. Clair is in good fiscal shape. They said that 30% of their budget goes to public safety. Now, I don't know what it is in Marine City, but again, St. Clair is in good fiscal shape, but Marine City obviously is not in that situation. But I want to reiterate, the average yearly income of a Marine City resident is below the state of Michigan average.
Household. Household.
Yes, household. Yes. According to the census, 15% of our residents live in poverty. And over 30% of our citizens are senior citizens. I would like to see a specialist perhaps recommend going over our budget, making sure that what cuts can be made, that no dollar is wasted. You know, if you're asking us to pay more taxes, there's no way that we got to have flowers paid with taxpayers' money. Where Tifa is moving money around. You know, that's not being fiscally prudent. You raise taxes as a last resort. And I don't think we've done that. We're not to that point. And as far as 2% raises, you know, you can ask teachers in East China School District. When's the last time they had a raise? Especially one as high as 2%. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Someone else is coming up, sir. No, Bill is coming up to the podium.
Bill Haas, William Haas, 203 Pleasant Street. Basically, my concern is I'm sure everyone on the board is aware there was an incident on Friday. My problem that I have is I was coming in from fishing on the Bell River about 4 houses from the Broadway Bridge when the marked vehicle, the Dodge Charger, come blasting about 60 to 80 miles an hour. There was one vehicle that just got out of the way as he come across the bridge. You got North Mary, you got the party store there. As I looked on Facebook after I sat around for a while, I see somebody was on there. The cop, had a cop almost hit me on the blind corner. I'm figuring if it wasn't the black truck I saw at the bridge, it's got to be by Mr. Turner's house there at Holland and the Heather house on that blind corner. That's about the only other blind corner I know. As I tied my boat up, then the fire boys come by. Fire boys were, well within their speed limit. I mean, they were moving, but they weren't, the old timers know your 4-barrel carburetors when you hear the, well, we had that anywhere from, I'd say the Dairy Queen and Hungry Howie's, and like I say, he hit the bridge, he was moving. I mean, to come up on Broadway or North Mary, and the party store, which, like I say, 10:30 at night, but there's still traffic. There's still people going to the party store. So my thing is the commission, the attorney, someone's going to get it eventually, newspaper people. We need to get that videotape out of that car and check out what actually went down. Whether he had the problem, the black truck that I saw at the bridge, or whether there was actually another issue on the corner by the Heather house, which is the only other blind corner I can think of on the way out. So that was around 10:30ish, when I was coming in the neighborhood, time I boat up. About 11:15, I go out and about, check the town out. I can still see flashers up to the north, so I take a drive. Marine City stops, East China's up there. I realized it was one of our boys' vehicles up there, but they were blocking, Marine City police were blocking traffic at the Marwood, at the little park, so I had to turn around, hit Madison, up to Urban Drive, up to Francis, back over. Probably 8 to 10 houses from Francis is where all the action was with the other cars, but I wasn't about to go that way and have to turn back around, so I just went Meisner, Bell River, back into town. I figured, well, let me drive by the police station. Wasn't a single police car there. So, I mean, when something happened, did we call everybody in? One car was in the deal. But that's sheriff's territory, so I don't know, I can see, one extra car, but everybody was gone. I mean, we had 4 civilian cars at the police station, wasn't one police car at the station. I mean, that's, I put something on the Facebook in the morning until someone gave me a little enlightenment on what was going on, but then everything disappeared. I took mine off, I'm gonna ask if we're billing East China to do road service, But that's, like I say, I'm not going to beat you down too much. I just, somebody needs to get that video, check out the, I mean, it's like lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit with the police. Our insurance with the police has got to be outrageous. I mean, good thing Mr. Tiller ain't here, I can speak my mind. But, it's a bad situation. I mean, the accident had already happened. He could have been more considerate coming through town, but he was moved. 60 to 80 miles an hour crossing that bridge coming through. I mean, the black truck got out of the way, and like I said, I got the transcript for the woman who said, someone almost hit me at the blind corner. I didn't call her, ask her, hey, were you the black truck? I just kept it. But somebody needs to get that dash cam and take a look at that on the unmarked Dodge, or the marked cruiser Dodge Charger with the Marine City Police and all that. I mean, that's fire guys come through, no problem. I mean, they weren't out to kill somebody. But the cop car, he was moving. If somebody would have jumped out, he could have killed somebody. That's all I.
Sir.
Good evening. My name is Dwayne Mullica. I reside at 2035 South Parker, Marine City. I have a few comments again that pertain to the Marine City, again, zoning ordinance. And again, I'm addressing the issue specific to the zoning ordinance with fences. And again, I also take issue with the fact that the city's not being upfront with the communications that we've all agreed to engage in and further investigate. And I've since sent in a FOIA, and for the folks that aren't familiar with that, it's the Freedom of Information Act, and requested a copy of the letter from Mr. Downey to the mayor. Again, the city has been at least up front in talking with me. I understand that my request through the FOIA is being denied by the city. I'd like the residents of the city to understand that. Here's a document that the city taxpayers are paying for. It's public information, and I understand the mayor's office is refusing to release it. So I guess I'll have to deal with that in another way. Also, I have issue, if there's secret letters going on, our residents need to know this. Again, we'd like to believe that everybody's in government is communicating and representing the residents. So again, there's behind closed doors meetings going on that makes me uncomfortable. Number one. Also, I guess I'd like to ask the commission to again go back and enforce the zoning ordinance for fences. Again, the commission needs to look at 160.254. And again, I'm asking the commission to look at it. Everybody is turning their cheek to it. So, again, please go back and ask for it. When you approve these meeting minutes, I guess, again, we'd like you to include the motion to include the executive sessions. We'd like that in there. If not already in there, I guess we'd like you to include it. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Kathy Murray, 262 South 2nd Street, Marine City. I don't attend your meetings. I read and I see what's going on. And I really think that you people don't think that us people pay attention. Just because they're not here, they're out there. And then as I was walking up, to change the subject a minute, how many of you were actually born and raised in Marine City? I'm the 5th generation. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying there. I'm retired on disability. I'm not going anywhere, but I don't want to pay for Joe next door because he left because the taxes are so high. I don't want to do that. I'll pay my fair share, but I'm not paying for the next guy. And when you talk about this sheriff issue, who better to check it out than your city manager / chief of police? Why would you have to wait, except that you want to get that bid in? If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck. And I really believe that duck is in this room. We're not stupid. You have to think of the people themselves. Do I want it all nice? Absolutely. But I can't afford it all. So I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is James Furtaw. I live at 806 West Boulevard here in Marine City.
Last name, sir, again?
Furtaw.
Thank you.
I don't attend the meetings. I'm not a political guy. But I do know from growing up with my mom, she said no. It was no. You guys make the decision on budgets. If somebody says we can't lower our budget, we can't. There's no such word as we can't. There's ways to lower it. And for the size town that we have, that police department, I'm telling you, is way too big. As most you can probably see, I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Marine City Fire Department. I'm on the Marine City Fire Department. I am a volunteer firefighter. I serve this community. I'm also a taxpayer of this community. I don't appreciate having to pay almost $1 million budget for the police department, when the fire department gets paid not even a quarter of that. And they're even in a fire authority. And the whole thing about not looking at the sheriff's department, you're blowing smoke. Because you need to look at other avenues. There's other ways of doing it. He shouldn't have to do it. That person shouldn't have to do it. That person shouldn't have to do it. But you know what? Collectively, as a commissioners, it needs to be a group effort. We need to do what's in the best interest of the citizens and this town. Throwing everybody under the bus and having them pay for all the increases because we knew this stuff had to be done, but we'll just kick it down the road, is BS. Everybody has a budget. And in that budget, you're supposed to run your facility with that budget. If something is expensive and you need an increase, you need to come to the board and ask for an increase and give the reasons why. Not, just because we need it. I go to work, I need this, why do you need it? I have to explain why I need something. And then they do their evaluation, okay, we'll get it. Not too bad, we don't have the money. That's not how it works. And I'm not trying to get you guys mad at me or upset at me, but this is getting ridiculous if everybody passing the buck. I'm not saying you guys are passing the buck, but if you guys know something that has to be updated, that's mandated by the state, if you know about it, start planning. Not wait until, well, we knew about it 9 years ago, we'll start doing it now. Wrong. If something's got to be fixed, don't wait 3 or 4 years down the road. Start seeing what could do to be fixing it now. If a building's got bricks falling on it, city owned, don't wait 4 years to fix it because it's going to cost more money. We need to fix stuff now, but there's other ways instead of throwing it on the taxpayers to fix it. Money's not being spent properly. I know that for a fact. Money is being just wasted. If the city wants to waste money, I know there's a few dumpsters and trash cans at residents' houses. They'll be more than happy to take the money if you want to just throw it away. We need to do something. I'm on a tight budget as myself at my own home. I can manage. It's not like a city. I understand that. You got more obligations and more stuff that you got to do. But I've also seen the budget. The budget, you got more money in your account than I'll ever have in my account. Even when the day I die, I won't have that money. We've got to do something. We've got to, if somebody says they're not lowering the budget, foot's down, you have no choice. Too bad. Well, no, it's too bad. If they say they're going to walk, see you later. We'll find somebody else to do your job. The city has to run it like a job. Every department. They don't want to do their job, out the door, find somebody else to do it. Thank you for your time, brother.
Have anybody else? Mr. Horn?
I'll start right. Mike Horn, 218 North William. Like Kathy Murray, I'm also a lifetime fifth generation person from Marine City. My ancestors are the Seekin family that were founders of this town, big shipbuilders, lumber mills and salt mills and stuff. So we go back a ways. And I basically agree with all the other folks about the taxes and how they're getting out of hand. But I'm kind of a numbers guy. I'm not good at math. I'd like to know what was the total police and fire budgets of last year. Anybody got a number?
It's in the budget, Mr. Horn.
Okay.
All you have to do is look at it.
And, okay,
I don't have it open.
I'll get to my question then. And from going to this 215 budget, what's the increase on that about? 100 grand, 100 something like that?
It's because the commission voted to add the shift back in that was taken out.
Okay, fine. How much is that an increase of? About 100 grand? What's the PA3 millage gonna raise? How much money?
We haven't set value on that yet.
Well, let's say 3 mils, and I hear it's going to 5, but let's say 3 mils, how much is that gonna raise over 5 years?
The budget, as approved, was about 288,000 off, and that was designed to replace that, or to balance that.
So what you're doing is putting money in a PA 33, you're putting in fire and taking out money and playing shell games with it, correct?
Yeah, basically the PA 33 is to help fund police and fire.
Okay.
So when you use it to
So there was no
help-
money in police and fire last year, correct?
That's the way the law works, Mr. Harn. That's what other communities do. That's how it works. That's how you free up the budget.
That's all I have, thank you.
Rosalie?
Rosalie Squires, 211 Michigan. I'm going to reiterate again what my husband said. My big concern is we do have a large population over 65. I've lived here 20 years. I haven't lived here my whole life, nor did my family live here, but my family did live in the Thumb area. My grandfather was a farmer not too far from here, so I don't know if that gives me clout into this. But I don't think it matters how long you've lived here. It's just we have a vulnerable population here. I think sometimes we forget how vulnerable our population is. There's a lot of retirees. 15% of our population lives under poverty level. Household incomes, average family in a household, it's $45,000. We're paying astronomical water bills, and now it'll be more taxes. That means that people that are renting will be paying higher rents in the future. This is really tough for people to live here. And I think maybe we need to take our shift off making this such a tourist destination and bringing people in. I think we need to start remembering that we also have a bedroom community here. And the bunt of this taxation is always put on the bedroom community. I would really hope that you would really reconsider this tax increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Robert Blanchard, 622 Elger Street. I just want to express my concern for a lot of your guys' positions if you go forward with this PA 33. I realize that budgets are tight and problems are going to happen and we need to cut things, but I don't believe that going forward with this PA 33 is going to be the right answer for the problem. There's no doubt in my mind with the people I've talked to that 10% is not something we can't achieve in more than just probably another 5 more hours of collecting signatures. So once that ends up happening, this PA 33 has to go to a vote anyways. So if that's the case, you're not going to get it in this budget anyways. So you might want to look at revising this year's budget and dealing with the long-term issue as it stands. I realize that, you know, things are more expensive. I've worked for 3 different counties in the last 15 years, and each one of the counties that I've worked for have had to take budget cuts. We've dropped insurances from Cadillac plans down to PL and PD plans. We've had to pay our own bigger portions of our insurance. There's been cuts all the way across the board. We've most everybody in public government has had to take furlough days. And I asked Mr. Tillery the other day, how many furlough days has any of his employees taken, or any of the employees in this Marine City taken at all? Not a one. No recessions in any way, shape, or form for earnings. You got 10 full-time employees in this town, and their average is $78,000 a year. That's ridiculous. I mean, you got a truck driver, laborer, that is making 60 grand a year. That's not including his benefits. There's people that are in this audience don't make that kind of money, and we're paying for this. I think you really should revisit what's going on here, because these people are speaking pretty loudly, and I don't think it's a good idea. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to item 6, which is the approval of the agenda, but we have to make some amendments.
I'd make a motion to approve the, the agenda as amended. Support with 9A and 11A.
Support.
The motion is support. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda has been approved as amended. Need to approve the minutes from the April 16th meeting.
I move to approve the City Commission regular meeting minutes from April 16th, 2015 as presented.
Support. The motion is support. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Commissioner Hendrick?
Yeah, I noticed a few things in these minutes. I'd like everybody's first names to go back into who's here. I know I had a brother-in-law that used to be on the commission, so it's kind of better that we put first names in there so we know who everybody is. Then I went to Commissioner Privilege, and the part that says, Commissioner Hendrick said the fire department tones may not be working. I said the tones aren't working. And it says here, she said she would check them again when the department conducted their tests. Well, no, I was asking the chief to get them fixed. So I'd like that corrected. And I guess I have to ask, because I had it written here, even though the gentlemen were asking about the communication, shouldn't we specify, even if we can't say it in the executive session, what the topic was?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I don't understand the question.
Well, the topic, it just says confidential attorney-client discussion. Do we have to not say what, at least what the topic was?
It could be for pending litigation, it could be to discuss a legal opinion. Yeah, it should have that specificity.
Okay, because it just says communication, but it doesn't say what we were discussing, is what I'm saying.
It should indicate whether it's a legal opinion or whether it's regarding pending litigation or for the purpose of discussing a contract, union negotiations.
So then I guess I'm confused that this was just an attorney-client issue. I mean, I read through the Open Meetings Act too, so I guess I just want to make sure that we've had more executive sessions we've had since I've been here, so I'm just wanting to make sure that we're doing it properly.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, if I could get those corrections on those couple things, that should be good.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes have been approved. On to the consent agenda, we have item 8A, which is special event concert in the park. We have item 8B, which is a business license for Michael Brothers, their new location. And item 8C, which is business license for Brucey Boys LLC. It's just a change of entity.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
A motion support. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda has been approved. Moving on to item 10, which is unfinished business. 10A, which is the High Street vacation.
Your Honor, if you'd like me to take that.
Yes, please.
The Commissioner will remember at the March 5th meeting, there was a resolution introduced that would have vacated a portion of High Street. The description of High Street in that resolution was rather inartful, and Commissioner Lovett had suggested that be sharpened. And subsequent to that, in my discussions with Ms. Loshaw of the Assessor's Department, I reported back to the commission, this is a little bit more unwieldy than it first met the eye. And the question becomes, does the city wish to endure the expense of siphoning off a legal description of vacated High Street where it intersects with vacated Second Street, which is really the sweet spot of this request, or does the commission wish to have the private actors, the adjacent property owners, bear that cost? So there's really been no determination made. The resolution was introduced, and I think there should be some definitive action taken, either to schedule the public hearing as would be required, or not to, and simply close the matter.
I did contact the Thompson family, and after I explained everything to them, they were not willing to pursue, and they wished that we would just forget it.
I think if that's the commission's view, I think, Your Honor, that what would be in order would be to request a motion to schedule a public hearing, and if there's no support for that, the matter will simply be closed.
Didn't we already have a public hearing scheduled?
I don't believe that the public hearing was ever scheduled.
I thought it was.
For the vacation on High Street?
Yeah.
We approved it. We approved the introduction of it, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was posted and everything, so
No,
that's where, I thought we were to the point of voting on it, and that's when we had to stop.
Right, I thought that wasn't, ended up in the paper as well.
Okay, if it's been introduced, then I guess it's simply a question of whether or not there's a motion to introduce it for purposes of having it adopted.
No, I think what we're saying is that we had decided at that point not to pursue it.
But we still have to make the
We have to make the motion. So, make a motion to not pursue the vacation of High Street.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion on that?
I would just say that I think it's absolutely appropriate if we've contacted the original petitioner on this and they're no longer interested. I think that's an absolute fair resolution. If they're not interested in pursuing it anymore, it clearly is not of a benefit to us and would just be costly to deal with.
Good. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So we're going to let that one just go away. Item 10B is ordinance number 03-215, narcotic and narcotic paraphernalia adoption. It was introduced at the last meeting.
I would move to adopt ordinance 03 of 2015 in regards to the update to our narcotics and narcotic paraphernalia.
Support.
Motion and support. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Moving on to item 11A, which would be to set date for public hearing on Public Act 33.
For establishing a special assessment district. Yeah. Make a motion that we set a public hearing date for establishing a special assessment district.
Support. So we have motion and support. It is part of the budget, so we have to do this before the budget, which means it would have to happen at a special meeting. And with the dates available and with the length of time that's required for public hearings and the posting of the public notice, we looked at the available dates, and probably the 20th would be the best date, seeing that there's a TIFA meeting on, was it the 18th? 19th. The 19th, yeah. So that would be the meeting directly before our regular commission meeting. That's also going to be a public hearing for the budget.
Just to clarify for the audience, that would be May 20th. Is that accurate?
May 20th. Commissioner Hedrick?
It really wasn't in the budget to do a PA 33.
It was approved on April 8th.
Well, anyway, we'll go back. Let me put everything together here. The motion was to propose one, not create one. It says to propose. I don't see any proposal. Then I'd like to ask one question of you for the last time, okay? I read in the rules that it says an ordinance repealed by the electorate may not be reenacted by the commission for a period of 2 years after the date of the election at which it was repealed. Does that count for the last time we did this?
I believe that was a vote of the people, Commissioner, if I'm...
Well, that's what it says. If an ordinance is repealed by the electorate, that it may not be reenacted by the commission for a period of 2 years.
I don't believe that it was an ordinance. I think that the commission at that time, if this is the summer of 2013 vote.
No, it was the November 13 vote.
I think the language.
It was for a PA 33 for the police department.
Okay, I don't believe that there was an ordinance in place. I don't think that was a repeal. I think that the commission had chosen at that time to make it a vote of the people as to whether or not the special assessment district would be created.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure on that. All right.
I believe there's...
I can look into that, Commissioner. I guess I'm just not... I'd have to get the facts on it.
I was told that the language in that PA 33 is that you cannot propose it until after 12 months, is what I was told.
That's my understanding as well.
That there is a waiting period of 12 months.
This says 2 years. Well, that's why I want to make sure.
That's not specific to the PA 33.
Well, it just says anything.
It says ordinance.
Well, it would have been an ordinance.
Would not have been a ballot proposal.
That's special assessment.
Okay.
It's not ordinance.
Well, hang on, I'm not finished yet. First off, you have to put together an entire proposal. If you're going to do this and you're going to create this, you have to have all the facts and figures, and you have to have all that information so that the people understand why you're creating this PA 33. Do we have a proposal?
I'm not an expert on a PA 33. Are you?
I think there are two things that have to be discussed at the hearing, Commissioner, and that is the district, the scope of the district, and what the assessment would entail. There's got to be an estimate for what the cost would be. I think those are the two subjects of the public hearing, or the purpose for scheduling the public hearing.
I looked at some of the others. You have to estimate the cost and expense of all the police and fire information. Then you have to do the hearing. You have to create a whole document, and you also have to prove the benefit of that PA 33 before you can move forward. I mean, there's a lot of detail. You can see I've collected a lot of data on this, and you also can't get to this one. Special assessments are not levied to offset the general expense of the government. So that's what you're doing. You're using this to offset your general expense. You have to do all your cuts first. You have to prove that you've made every cut, that you're in the hole, that you've, there's another sheet I got here. You have to prove the benefit. I don't see that. If you do a public hearing, doing it in the paper is no longer sufficient for these type of setting up these special assessment districts. It has to be done by mail. So we have a cost there. You had 2 budget options to balance, which I probably am the only one that had a copy of it because I demanded one. We had a way to do it, and yet nobody wants to do it. You want to move forward with the PA 33. There's too many issues in here that I'm reading that shows this isn't being done properly. And so I don't know how you can set a district when you have no facts or figures to give anybody out here and why we're creating it.
Deferring to our council.
I can investigate that for Commissioner Hendrick.
I mean, I have never done this. I'm sure the acting city manager has never gone through this. I'm sure our city clerk has never gone through this. and those are the people that we rely on to do it properly, so.
Well, let me give you a couple other things. Special assessments require a change, and you have to show the benefit. You have to show to the people how much this is going to improve their property. It's not technically, it's not a tax, so like churches, schools, any of those type that are normally exempt are now not exempt.
Could you back up one? So what are you trying to say, that you have to demonstrate an improvement in property value?
Yeah, you have to show a benefit.
That's insane.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the...
How could you do that in any form
You
of
have to show that by doing this, it's a benefit to the taxpayer. I'm sorry, it's the rules.
a benefit to the taxpayer?
It's a benefit...
Does it
Hang on,
explicitly say improve property value?
Yes, hang on, let me read it, find it here. Benefit. Okay, the benefit, and this is from all the court rulings. Used in the context of special assessment means one thing: an increase in the market value of a property is a unique, direct, and measurable result of the public improvement.
Are you reading from the Public Act PA 33, or is this some?
These are from Attorney General opinions.
Of what?
Of the PA 33. So you have to, there's more to this than just saying, we need a PA 33, is what I'm trying to point out to you.
So
it's very complicated.
It's someone's opinion of...
The Attorney Generals of Michigan. I got all the Attorney General opinions in here.
No, okay.
There's all sorts of things that we have to be careful of. If not, we could be sued. They can petition and stop it, which means then you're going to wait till never. If they vote it down, then it's down. So, I mean, before you can just say, hey, I want it, I mean, there's a lot of detail. All I'm pointing out is, for them to understand why it's being done, you have to create a whole proposal. You have to show why it's being done. All the cost, what it's going to increase, how you reduced your expenditures. You have to tell them how the whole process works, why it's in the budget, what you did to try to make cuts, how the assessment's going to work.
Commissioner Simpson?
I'd be curious to see what the most recent data is on there. There's a case in 2013, Kane versus the City of Williamston, in which case, that was July 2013, the Court of Appeals upheld the PA 33, saying that they can in fact create a special assessment district encompassing the entire city. In their case, they did a flat assessment, and in their words, is if the city determines if city were to determine that the properties within all cities benefit equally, not that the citizens would have to determine that. And my understanding, that's what we've done through this whole budget workshop, is to do exactly that. We've demonstrated the need over and over and over again.
No, you haven't. You haven't cut anything out of the budget. I can cut that budget by the amount that you have there and still get stuff done and still have some money left in there. You made no
There's a drastic difference between a cut and a balanced budget and adequately serving the needs of the city.
It still serves the needs of the people. It still pays for what we're going to do.
It has zero capital outlay and
why are we doing the $150,000 extra in the police department when we didn't use that last year? He cut that budget because he was worried we were going to go to the sheriff's department. That's the only reason why he cut it. This year he pumps it up because he's in charge.
And he has no authority to cut it. He has no authority to pump it up either. We voted on that at the meeting because he doesn't have the authority to do that.
All I'm telling you, there's plenty Attorney General opinions that have all the stuff right in it.
And I'm looking at one right here that says we can.
Well, you can, but they can take and push it to a vote and vote it down.
They still can do that regardless.
Well, that's true. But you also have to have a package. You have to show all just cause. You can't just say, I want it.
I would argue our budget process and our workshops were that just cause.
It's not enough.
They were all open meetings.
It doesn't matter. Look at.
Well, how does that not matter?
You have to show charts. We spent weeks on that. We spent days listening to Mary Ellen tell us what to put in there. Nobody cut one darn thing out of that budget, and you know it. There's 200 and some thousand you could cut out of there.
One thing alone was the CTV benefit of $30,000. So right there, that's one thing.
One thing, you didn't cut it.
You just said.
You just changed the contract. Because
Which saved us
$30,000. Anyway, all I'm saying,
Order here, I don't want these
you
open
have to
arguments.
have all this information.
All right, we've understand that you're saying that we have to prepare a proposal.
Yep.
Commissioner Levitt, would you like to
But
answer?
I just, when we talk about preparing a proposal, that is exactly what was done with the budget. We went through, yes, we had someone explain it to us, but at the same time, we had that opportunity to look at it and see where it's at. And the city of Marine City, the facts are there. If you had come and listened to the budget, if you look at it, we have consistently cut back and cut back and cut back. I heard at that open meeting that you want your streets fixed, that they wanted the 4x4. That's what I heard from the majority of people that were there. And I was sitting in front of that audience. So I really believe that we have done our due diligence and that we want to see the city move forward. At this point, we have cut from 30-some full-time employees down to 11. We're on half-time. We have put the staff contribute $6,000 to $8,000 toward the health insurance, and all those things that were mentioned earlier have happened and have cut, and much of that, you know, if you would talk to people and find out what's happened and see what the past is going, you know, our taxes have gone down. I think that the PA 33 is necessary, and you know, I have done figures on, you know, everybody says, oh, we don't have money, et cetera, et cetera. This board represents a good cross-section of the community, from low assessed values to high assessed values. And of the 7 people on this board, between 2007 and 2012, they saved $7,334 in taxes because our tax assessment has gone down, which is an average of $1,113 of savings to each individual. More or less depending on the average, of course. Now, that is money that the city has not been able to take. And if you, and again, if you look at your average taxable value of every single home in this community has gone down, that means your taxes have gone down. Look at them. I went to the website, look at, if any of you disagree with me, give me your name and I will look it up and show it to you. Since 2012, taxes, the assessed value has continued to go down, and we now have saved, among ourselves, we have been able to save for us personally, money not going to the city from taxes, $2,742. An average saving for each of us of $200 per year for the last 2 years. And we are asking you to invest in your city and invest, depending on your average wage, a 3%, 2.3%, which averages about for an
I don't think you meant to say average wage. I think you meant property value.
Yeah, average property value. Thank you. So, you know, money has been less and less for the city, and they have cut and cut and cut. And we can do without. We can cut. We can cut recreation. We can cut streets. You want your streets fixed. We can cut anything down the road with getting streets fixed. You know, sidewalks. It's just there is no money in the budget. And I, by the way, was born in Marine City. I went to school at Holy Cross High School. I left and I returned almost 30 years ago. So I am basically a Marine City.
I guess we're getting off of the point a little bit here. A lot. My question is, if we are supposed to have prepared a formal proposal and have it distributed and do direct mail, if any of this stuff is accurate, then if we move forward, we are doing it improperly. So what I think we need to do, before we argue the merits of the PA 33, is find out if we're even approaching it properly, which I, for one, will want to make sure we're doing. So we can ask the city attorney to research this, make sure that we're following procedures, and then I'd have to set a special meeting to set a hearing, if we can move forward, to set a public hearing, which would also be a special meeting, which seems like a lot. But you don't, Mr. Downey, you don't seem prepared to address these issues.
Not this evening, Your Honor, but I'm glad to get into that if I can speak with Commissioner Hendrick about her information and make sure I can address those
Well, I
questions.
guess I'm wondering how, first, here's the problem with all this. First, the people haven't even had a chance to make any complaints on the budget itself. That's the next meeting, that's the public hearing. So they haven't had any chance to speak their piece on that. And basically, by doing this P3, you're already saying that's a done deal. I mean, everybody knows I posted all the public improvements online. Anybody can go through this list and you can make your own cuts. You can do it and still do a lot of stuff. You can cut out the raises, there's 14,000. You can cut out the office chairs, you can cut out the SUV, the 4-to-4 shift. There's a lot of things, and you can still get things done. And I'd like to know, too, who authorized the original public hearing for tonight? How did that get started?
There is no public hearing for tonight.
Who authorized to publish and have
That's
one for
why
tonight?
there isn't a public hearing tonight.
Well, I'm asking, though. Somebody did
It
it.
just came from the office.
The Marine City Ferry? I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I
I mean,
think
somebody in this city
Your acting
authorized
city
it.
manager would have done that.
Well,
It didn't happen by a ferry. You know darn well how it happened.
well, then just say it. Don't
I
just
did just
look,
say it.
You're always beating around the bush with some of these things.
Can we
First
move
off,
on,
I don't think we
There
did
is, well, we can't
any of
move
this
on
properly.
until we decide what we're going to do, because this segment of the meeting was to set a date for a public hearing for the PA 33.
It's a complicated process, I'm telling you. It's not as simple as just saying you need the money.
If we set the date, then another public announcement is going to be made tomorrow because of the amount of days that you have to, 5 days, you have to publish it 5 days.
You're going to have to do
advance.
a mailing, I hate to tell you.
Well, I haven't disagreed with you, Commissioner Hendrick, so
I'm
I
just
wish
trying
you'd
to
stop
clarify.
interrupting
Could
me.
you stop interrupting, please? We'd like to hear what he has to say.
So what I'm saying is that we need to address these concerns of Commissioner Hendricks.
Sure.
I would move to have the acting city manager work with the city attorney just to set up and double check that we are following the appropriate procedures and work with Commissioner Hendrick to address any concerns that she might have, and then also further vet the process to make sure we're following up Public Act 33 and its incorporation appropriately.
I guess I'm a little confused on how this would even possibly work, because we can't set the hearing date and make another public announcement if we don't know that we have the ability to move forward. So I guess what I would have to do is set us, after we get communication back from the attorney, I'd have to set a special meeting, but then that wouldn't allow enough time for the public announcement. So I guess I'm looking for a little direction from you, Mr. Downey.
I can attempt to answer the question as soon as possible, and I can reach out to Mr. Tillery and try to turn it around as quickly as possible.
Do you think there is enough doubt that we would be doing it properly to take this pause? Do you think that's recommended?
I'm unfamiliar with the issues that are raised by Commissioner Hendrick. I'm just hearing those for the first time tonight, so I guess I'm not in a position to make that assessment.
Are you familiar with the Public Act 33 and the procedures?
Yes.
Do you feel that we've followed the procedures?
To this point, I think you have. There's got to be, the first step is the commission has to be the actor in setting the meeting, and obviously that was an oversight in tonight's agenda, original agenda. I think with that correction made, it's just a question of defining the two issues that need to be addressed for the resolution, and that is what is the scope of the district and what is the the cost of the charge that's going to be levied.
Well, there's more to it than that. But whatever.
So as far as we don't have to prepare a formal proposal, and we do not have to make a direct mail announcement?
I don't know the answer to that question, Your Honor.
That's how most communities do it.
Well, that's how most communities do it, and it requires two different things.
Well, look it up. So what happens if we don't get this done in time for the budget meeting?
Well, if it's not done in time for the budget meeting, then there simply wouldn't be that line item in the budget, as I understand it. I think in the budget that's proposed, there's an assumption that there's going to be Public Act 33 money included.
It doesn't say, it didn't, originally it said it was for the fire department. Then somehow it got changed to both, just a general whatever. I don't even know what the amount is for anymore. Then it was 3.065 mils, hold it, and then it was, in the paper, it was up to 5 mils. Now that's over our 20 mils.
Well, actually, the commission would have to set the millage rate. The public announcement that was made was suggesting a cap, but that would have to be set by the commission.
But the point was, when you're going to have a public hearing on creating a district, how are these people supposed to know what to say for or against it if they don't even know what we're doing? That's the point.
Well,
they have to have the specifics.
I think they did pretty good. We heard a lot of against comments tonight. I don't think there was any problem there.
And then if they go for the petitions and get the petitions, then you'll have to have a vote and the city has to pay for it. That's the rules.
Commissioner Levitt, did you have something to add to this?
No, I was going to say that from the beginning we talked about the PA 33. It's specifically for the public protection, which goes toward the police and the fire, and that was what it was from the beginning. That's all it can go for. Well, and that was the discussions that we had.
Right, but
that I remember.
The public announcement is not the same as what we'd end up with.
No, I was just commenting on that. Can we not go ahead with studying tonight, just setting the date and then canceling if we need to, so that we have some idea of where we're going? We can always cancel.
I heard a proposal for Wednesday, the 20th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion? There is no motion. Is there?
It was
there was a motion in a second to set the date for the 20th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what is your opinion about setting that date to have to cancel it?
I think it's the commission's prerogative. If they wish to set it, then it can always be rescinded, as tonight's was.
Sure.
I thought you put it in the paper at the 20th already, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get the voice yesterday. I'm pretty sure I saw the 20th, which I thought was the day before the main 23rd.
There should be one for the 21st for the public hearing.
We have not opened this up for general discussion. The 20th is not a date that was set. The commission has to set a date. 20th has been suggested as a possible date. So, Commissioner Miller.
Yeah. If you did decide to make the date of the 20th and then you put it out in the paper and then we have to recline, then it's more out-of-pocket expense then?
Yeah, you have to pay for the public announcement.
You have to pay for it saying two things, that it's been canceled and then it's also rescheduled.
The problem is you have to do a mailing. Putting it in the paper for a special assessment is no longer good. You have to do a mailing so that everyone is notified. That's according to the Attorney General.
And what was the date on that?
I don't know, you can look those up yourself. They said that putting it in the paper now is deficient to notify the entire public about a special
You could be
assessment.
quoting something from 1995, as far as you know.
Well, go
Since
look
you
them
are the
up.
one that brought
You
the
looked it up.
exception.
Yeah, I've got a
since you
copy,
were the
but
one
I'm
that
not,
brought it.
hey, I did my homework. Go do your homework on it.
Okay, so you want to stall this procedure.
I'm not gonna
but
stall
you-
it. They're gonna
But you
stall
don't
it.
want to provide the date that you're trying to stall with. Because why? Because it's
Well, you don't
obsolete?
believe what I'm
or it's-
telling you, so why should I give it to you?
I'm asking you what the date is on the document.
We have a motion on the floor, right? We have a motion on the floor. We can call the question.
I would like this answered.
79, doesn't matter. It's an opinion that notice by mail must be given to all known owners of property in the special assessment district.
The date.
I told you that.
1979.
So,
Before I
it's
was
still
born.
good.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Not good if there's been other decisions since then.
So our attorney research it.
If they found it was deficient back then, I'm sure it's still deficient, being that we have all this
So we're-
email and everything else.
We're suggesting to have the city attorney research this.
Go ahead.
That's correct.
Well, the motion on the floor needs to be voted on.
Okay.
To set the public hearing for the 20th. So, any more discussion on that? That's all in favor?
No, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
No.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now, I'd like to make a motion to direct the city attorney to research the requirements for the PA 33 to make sure that we have followed them.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So, you have some more work to do.
Get to it.
Quickly. All right, so moving on to item 11B, which is set the public hearing date for the 2015-16 budget, which personally I think we already did, but when we approved the dates of the workshops, but it's on the thing again, so I guess we could vote on it again. Somebody want to make a motion?
What do we have learned?
Just to set the date for the public hearing for the budget
I make a motion to set the public hearing for the budget
on the, what date would that be?
May 21st.
May 21st.
May 21st, 2015.
Support.
The motion and support for the public hearing for the budget. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So the public hearing for the Marine City budget will be held on the 21st. Is this gonna, do we have a time on that? Is this just part of the regular meeting?
Part
Or?
of the regular meeting at 7 p.m.
Okay, so the regular meeting starts at 7. And public hearing probably will be down somewhere after the consent agenda, I guess.
It is.
Yep. All right, moving on to financial business. Item 12A, disbursements including payroll.
Make a motion to approve disbursements including payroll, $140,878.91.
Support.
The motion and support. Any discussion? You have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to item 13, which would be the city manager's report, which I'm going to turn into the city attorney's report. And I guess I would like you to address some of the comments made about the fence ordinance.
Well, one of the things that I'll be glad to share specifically with the commissioners is that any public body is entitled to legal advice, and there's a privilege that attaches with that legal advice. I was instructed by the administration to provide a legal opinion based on certain assertions that were made at the April 2nd meeting, and that's what I did. Accordingly, that information was marked as confidential attorney-client communication. And I think there's some misunderstanding that because this is a public body that you're not entitled to receive legal advice or that you can receive legal opinions in confidence. So I want to disabuse that notion that there's anything improper about receiving the opinion that you did. I think that's it. I'll be glad. I'll go back. There was a citation to a specific ordinance that I've noted.
Ordinance 16-0254.
And I'll be glad to follow up if that's not something we've already tackled. I'll opine on that as well.
And the suggestion that we're doing stuff behind closed doors, as long as we're not making decisions or taking votes, and it is a discussion that's allowed in executive session.
There's a body of law in the Open Meetings Act that speaks to that, Your Honor, and that we're well within the Commission's well within its prerogative to do that.
Right. And in regards to me not releasing the letter, there was a reason for that, because some of the comments made, they were intimating that they were going to sue the city. So it would be foolish for me to share confidential communications to a group of people that are trying to build a lawsuit. That's why that wasn't shared. And I did talk to our attorney about that, and we have every right to keep that letter confidential, even though it's basically was just a letter citing the different, refuting the different challenges and talking about the ordinance. There's really nothing special about it. It's just, if somebody is going to sue you, why make it easier for them by providing information that you don't have to? So that's how that occurred. We're going to move on to Commissioner privilege. We'll start with Commissioner Melly.
Yeah. Just a couple things that I do want to say tonight. On behalf of the people that came out, you're showing that you're concerned about our community, and you want to say in the vote, and I hear you strongly, that's the big issue about the PA 33, that the commission is voting on it, and I feel as though that the people don't really have a say in the matter. I hear you loudly, and one of my concerns is about the PA 33 is that in dealing with the police department and saying for an improvement, and one reason why I voted no on it was because crime rate has gone down, and that's a big savings in money. And then the other thing is we have not gotten an actual quote with the Sheriff's Department. And I hear you people very strongly. I want to compare apples with apples, and I believe in safety for the city. There's other things that we have to improve in our city with our structure. And I'm very concerned. I want the well-being of our city. I don't want our city to deteriorate, but I also don't want to be overinsured. So I hear you people very strongly, and I appreciate you guys coming out tonight and voicing your opinion on it. And I want to do the following procedures in doing everything properly. And so we don't get ourselves in a bind and doing something wrong and stepping on somebody's toes. I want to hear the people's voice, and I really, again, appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Lovett.
As you know, I always try to congratulate someone, and Hannah Armstrong, who's a senior at Cardamone here in Marine City, is the youngest person to be recognized for her work against child abuse. She received the 2015 Community Child Advocate Award, so congratulations to Hannah and all those who have helped her and all those who continue to do good for each other. And to all those who've helped Marine City be chosen as one of the top 5 day trip destinations in the metro area. You know, it's that excellence that we all strive for in this community. I think we should be proud of what we have, and I'm sure that you are. I am. But in order to continue to move forward, I believe that we have to make some hard choices, and we have to honestly look at what has happened to our tax base. This city can only operate on the tax base and on taxing its citizens, and I am one of them. And I am a retired person. I am on a set income. I have a 1,200 square foot home. I do not live extravagantly, and I'm willing to put my money into it too. You know, and I'm sure others are not even as well off as I am, perhaps. But again, that money is always prorated, etc. I just know that without that, yes, we can cut and we can cut if that's what you want. The example is the other night, you know, we are without police protection in the evening, and then that's where the worst crimes happen, in the late evening and early morning hours when there's no one around. You know, we had officers who were taking a intoxicated person to the jail. There's no one left in the community, you know, and the people who want to do wrong know that. They know there's nobody around. So if they're going to do it, that's the times they do it, when they know there's the one person out there. So again, I thought that, and I know that I heard at that meeting that people wanted to see that 4x4, we call that second person on the police. Just a reminder that some of the Tahoes, some of those police cars were not bought with city money. They were bought with Stone Garden money, which was grants from the federal government for drug trafficking, etc., keeping the border safe, rather, which includes drug trafficking. So, you know, please get the facts. Please find out why those of us who are in support, you know, what are the reasons for that? You know, talk to the DPW director. He doesn't have money to fix the holes in the streets. You know, he's working on, you know, a minimum budget. Everyone is. They really have a cutback. You know, the 2% raise perhaps is a sticking point, but these people haven't had raises in I believe it was 9 years. You know, other cities are looking to see what we're doing. They're saying, hey, you know, we got a problem too. You know, Marine City's going to do this. Maybe we can do this. We need to find a way. St. Clair, Algonac. Talk to Clay Township people about the sheriff. The sheriff is here they have a specific job, and if the sheriff needs chief sheriff needs the deputies, then they go to wherever he needs them, and you're left without protection. Talk to people in Clay Township, their feelings about having the sheriff department. I personally enjoy having a police department that is attentive. Yes, some of them may make some misjudgments sometimes, but who's there to go out with the team when they won the championship and walked them out of, you know, led them out of the city with sirens, and the fire department too, and came back with sirens. There's no comparison with what can happen. You have them at the festivals. They're here for this city. And they're here because they want to be in this city, and they respect them. Talk to some of them. Most of them are retired and are working part-time. The majority, we have 2 full-time people in the police department. The rest are all part-time people. I respect the work that the fire department does. It's a different type of work. You are on call. They're not here. They don't have to be here every minute of the day. You don't have a police department on call. You have them here. Yes, crime is down because you have a good police department. And why, I know the question is always asked, why are we charging so much? Why so much now? Why haven't we done it all along? Because we kicked the can all along, just like we want to do again. Well, let's do it next year. Let's move it along. We're not going to, you know, we can't afford it this year. We couldn't afford it the last 9 years. And we've done nothing. Our roads are falling apart. We have sidewalks that are being ignored. We have only a part-time code enforcer, and everybody wants their driveway plowed from snow. I mean, their sidewalks cleared off. Everybody wants their street perfect, and we can't do it. We don't have the money in the budgets to do that. The well has run dry. We've been cutting and cutting and cutting for the last 9 years. And there is this. Maybe you can find little things, cut it. Then you have less services. And then you're going to have the opposite complaint and things will go down. People have invested millions of dollars in this city. Other people from outside of town, I think we can afford to invest some of that savings that we have had over the last few years in our taxes. Thank you.
Commissioner Hendrick?
All right, I have a little list maybe you could pass along to the city manager. I'm wondering why we're cutting all those trees uptown again. They're cutting like a foot off. It's the wrong time of year to be cutting them. That's an additional cost that, we probably could do that like every couple of years, not every year. Some of those trees get stressed. I know one of them died the last time they did it. I know there's been a big complaint. Ward Street's posted no trucks, and so is Bell River Road on certain parts of it, and yet we got trucks going right by the PD when no trucks are going. I've had a lot of complaints from the people on Ward Street. They'd like something done about stopping the big trucks coming through there. I think we should be looking for a new building inspector since he's looking to go. We shouldn't be waiting. We should start looking for them now because they're hard to find. I want to make sure the porta-johns are done. I heard over the weekend some of them were pretty bad. It doesn't look like any of them had been cleaned or any paper put in them. There's an issue at the corner, you all know where Tranquility Spa is, the old chamber building. On that corner, about a week ago, if you park a car in front of that building and they have a metal sign up, somebody pulled out in front of me, and luckily I saw him coming at that intersection of Market and Broadway. I think we need to get them to move that sign or something away from the spot where it's at because it creates a terrible blind zone for people. And then I wondered why somebody gave me a call. Didn't know if you'd noticed it. Did you notice that no right turn at your end of your street there? No, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Did I notice a new no right turn?
Yeah.
At the end of Main Street?
Yeah.
It's been there always. No, it's a no left turn.
No, right. It says right turn only now.
Yeah, it's been that way forever.
Forever. So everybody that goes down, that goes straight, is in violation of the.
I think it's a dumb sign.
Okay.
But
Somebody brought it to my attention. I thought it was
because what I have to do is I have to go to the end of the street. I have to turn right. I have to go down the side street. I got to come back around, or I'm in violation. But it has been that way since I have lived here.
So is there a reason why it's?
I think only because of the angles of the streets and the bridge and the way they intersect. Maybe somebody at one point thought it was unsafe to make a left there.
Okay.
But I would personally like to see that sign gone.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was kind of odd. Somebody brought it to my attention. I went down and looked at it, and I thought it was kind of silly.
No, it's been there for
30 years I've been here.
Yeah. All right. Well, somebody must have just noticed it was down in there. All right. Last thing I want to bring up is, I'm going to make sure I caught everything on there. Okay. I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to thank all the comments and the concerns. I know a lot of you have talked to me. I know Bob Beatty, a former mayor, couldn't be here. He asked me to put in his 2 cents about his displeasure over this. I guess one of the things is Algonac, who has a smaller millage rate than we do, has $1.5 million in their general fund. We have a third of that. We can operate the city. Yeah, we have to make some cuts, but every community is in the same boat. Everybody has to do it the same way. Everybody's making the same tough cuts. But we're not bare bones. We're not down to the point where we can't operate. We got TIFA money sitting there that nobody wants to use. There's $800,000. We have 3 full-time officers, not just 2. We've spent, well, I didn't vote for it, but you spent $64,000 on 4 lights for the bridge. I mean, we've brought these things up over and over and over. People just can't afford it. We have mutual aid. When our offices are out of town, we have mutual aid agreements with the other communities, so that's not an issue. We can't fix the roads right now because we're going to have to fix all our water and sewer lines, so we're going to have to dig them up. So there's no point in fixing any of that at this point at all, until we know what we have to do with the water and the sewer lines. And that was because we didn't find out about something that started in 2009. We just found out that we have to start charging for that. to start fixing those because it's a DEQ mandate. But we weren't told by our former city manager, so now we're in the bind for it and you're on the hook for it. I hear you. I'll keep working with you. Do the petitions, force a vote. That's the best you can do. Thank you.
Commissioner Avery.
Well, in regard to the last comment, our budgets have been kicking the can down the road, and that this happens to have been something, I'm sure that was one of them. We cut out maintenance for things. We cut out planning ahead. I just look at the way our property values have gone down, our taxes went down. Costs for services don't go down. There's been no reduction in inflation. Every product that we buy costs more money, and we have less to use for it. We have to decide if we want to maintain what we have now or cut back.
Quiet, please. Go ahead.
I'm done.
I got a few things. Again, I'd also like to thank everyone for attending tonight and a handful of people that have contacted me as well. We always appreciate when people come and let us know how they truly feel. I want to encourage the two gentlemen here, Mr. McCarthy and anyone else interested in the fence ordinance. The City Commission has put that on the Planning Commission to revise those. So not specific to your individual issue, but a revision of that. The Planning Commission is currently undertaking that. We meet, our monthly meeting is this coming Monday at 7 p.m. in this very room. It's on our agenda then. It might appear several more times before any action is taken on that, but I encourage you to, if you have concerns about that, either send us...
Excuse me for a minute.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we patiently sat here and listened to your comments. Could you please refrain your conversation until the commissioner privilege is over? Thank you.
Thank you.
Go on.
So I would just encourage you gentlemen, or if anyone else that you know are interested in voicing your opinion, you would have the opportunity to do so at that meeting. There's public comment at the beginning of those meetings as well. If you're not able to attend, certainly feel free to email the clerk or the acting city manager to get us some correspondence. So I just want you guys to be aware that that is something that we're looking at. I've taken down the 160.254 to make sure we're specifically looking at as well. I'm the city commission rep to the planning commission, so just to make sure we're looking at that as well. So wanted to invite you guys for that. Just a couple numbers. The police department comes up quite regularly, and I don't want to get too much into it. I agree, as we've said at previous meetings, that it is a responsible thing to do to look at a quote and contact the sheriff department for a quote to see if we can compare apples to apples. Just to look at some numbers, and these are numbers based on the 2015 sheriff contact prices with the city of Port Huron, Port Huron Township, Fort Gratiot Township, and Ira Township. The sheriff department bids to those municipalities. Port Huron Township is $60.51 an hour. The cost per hour for Fort Gratiot Township is $61.56 an hour. To Ira Township is on the other end of the extreme, $56.87 per hour. If you just do a comparison to those hours at the hourly rates based on our existing services as proposed by our police department, the total sheriff's cost based on those numbers, and again, obviously if we would like to solicit a quote and we would want them to be specifically discussing our needs, but even if you just use these as an indicator, the sheriff total for our needs based on those numbers, an average of those numbers would be $59.65 an hour. So using that number, the total would be $923,737.60. Our existing MCPD total would be $825,250. That also doesn't include things Chief of Police Service, patrolling special events, the operations of a police department building. Myself, I had an issue that I had to physically go a couple times to the police department over the last month. My credit card was skimmed or swiped, and I had credit card fraud. They were able to investigate that and had a lot of luck with that to help me in that situation to reclaim my money from there. If we did not have a building unto ourselves, I would have had to go to Port Huron enough time off of work to pursue that. So there's any number of other things that Sheriff Price would not include with these numbers. On-scene supervisors, administrative services for the police department, any number of other things, supervising deputies, those types of things that would just drive our costs up. And again, that's not an exact comparison, but if you just use those numbers alone, which were published numbers from the paper for those 3 municipalities, that shows there's quite the discrepancy. Even if you took a lower bid than Ira Township, which has a lot less needs than us by my estimation, and use a dollar amount less than them, we still come in cheaper than them. So just as a matter of perspective, again, I'm in complete support of at least entertaining a number from the Sheriff's Department. I think that's a responsible thing to do. But just as far as numbers to numbers comparison, that is something I was able to come up with, just food for thought. I want to thank the River East High School students that are in Marine City, housed at the high school building. They've done quite a few projects lately. They're working on some senior projects as well, and underclassmen projects. They are going to put up mini libraries, which are kind of becoming a trend. It's a give one, take one sort of library that will be distributed in the community. They've been working hard on these projects, and it's a nice gesture. Last year they did the art class under Jason Steyer's, did the banners for the city, which just is a nice gesture. They're also developing a walking tour of Marine City, and I know they've done countless other projects, park cleanups and those types of things. So I just want to make sure that those students, since they've relocated from St. Clair to Marine City, they've been really contributing to our community. I want to make sure that they're recognized. Oftentimes we just recognize our 2 larger high schools, but they're indeed part of our community, and I want to thank them for their efforts. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't have anything specific to say. I just want to address some of the comments that were directed toward me. In regards to the reason why I don't, and I can't make this decision, I'm just one person on the board, but the reason why I don't think it's a good idea for the chief to be involved in the proposal process from the Sheriff's Department is because if the numbers that you get show that there's no savings, or it's not a great savings, or it's not a good idea, nobody's going to believe that. They're going to say he cooked the books, he rigged the proposal. You know, the way this community shows mistrust toward that type of information, I think it would be best for the new city manager, whoever that is, he or she, to conduct the request for proposal from the Sheriff's Department, and I'm going to insist that we get that. With that being said, I also pulled every existing contract that's out there between the Sheriff's Department and communities around here, and the closest one to probably what we would get would be not Ira Township, it's Fort Gratiot's. These communities are all doing 30-hour coverage a day. The new budget that we have would be providing 36 hours per day. And if you just take that one contract, the contract with Fort Gratiot, and do the simple math, divide it by, you know, the 30, then multiply it by the 36 for the extended hours, I came up with about $830,000. But that doesn't take into consideration a lot of the benefits we have with the community police force, with our own police station, with lieutenant staff that can act as backup all the time, and the intermediate shifts that are occurring at Algonac and Fort Gratiot and Ira Township are being done by a deputy that comes from the Sheriff's Department, and his travel time is paid for by the city, and it's part of the 6 hours that they're providing. So whatever that travel time is, they're paying for that, and they're not getting the police coverage. So personally, I don't think there's going to be a big savings if we go to the Sheriff's Department, and even if it's the same amount of money, what we'd be giving up I don't think is worth it. But nobody believed John Gaber when he said that. Nobody believed Don Tillery when he said that. Nobody's going to believe me when I say that. So I'm going to insist and push for a formal proposal from the Sheriff's Department. I just want it to be done by somebody that everyone wouldn't question or say they had some hidden agenda or tried to cook the books or whatever. There was a comment made by a person on the volunteer fire department about if you know something's going to break, take action to fix it. Well, that's what we're trying to do, but it takes money. And that we know things are going to break, and we know that we got to get the money from somewhere. What no one seems to ever address is the fact that we do have a deficit, a structural deficit. Last year, we fixed it by cutting out maintenance on our buildings and stealing $100,000 from our retiree health care fund. That's how we balanced it last year. This year, we could balance it by getting rid of the extra shift of the police department, and we could do a 10% across the board cut in every single department, including the fire authority. And we'd want that extra payments back from the fire authority. That could be like $60,000 right there. So, yes, you can save money, but you have to give stuff up. So what are you willing to give up? We could go to it. We could go to the sheriff's department and say we want 8 hours of police coverage a day. That's what East China does. That would be really cheap. We'd save all kinds of money. Is that what you want? We had a town hall meeting and we didn't hear that people wanted less. We heard that people wanted to keep things going and they wanted more. So when you have a structural deficit, you've got a bucket with a hole in it. And if you don't plug that hole, eventually the water's going to run out. Yes, this year we could kick the can. No doubt. We could kick the can. Next year, a lot of our terms are coming up. So we'd be handed this structural deficit to the next group. Every year you don't maintain your buildings, every year you don't fix this, every year you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's going to cost more and more and more, and we're just pushing that responsibility onto the next group of people. And it's going to cost more, and that's not fair. And the majority of this commission decided that we weren't going to kick the can this year and that we were going to try to plug that hole. And that's all this PA 33 would do. By paying for the fire authority, it would free up the money that would normally come out of the general fund. That's just the way it is. That hole would be plugged. So next year we wouldn't have to even have this discussion. TIFA not being willing to pay for things. Well, it's been proposed that TIFA finance the sidewalk program. So they're willing to pay for things, and they have agreed to it, and they've committed money to it. So TIF is very beneficial, and it's gotten our city to where we are. We are the envy of the River District, and that's not by accident. It's because we've invested in ourselves. And for the 4 years I've been on the commission, we have cut every single year, presented a balanced budget, and still managed to do just enough to keep us moving forward. And I meant to start off by thanking every single person that came here tonight and your comments, because everyone was very respectful. I didn't hear any anger or insults thrown toward us, and I really appreciate that. And I listened to every single word, and I've taken it all to heart. But we did go through this budget process. There were 5 very detailed meetings, and we did come to this conclusion. We're not trying to do anything to you. We're trying to make this city strong and keep the city the envy of the River District. And what concerns me is didn't hear one single person say, what's this going to cost me? How much is this going to cost? I got in a little discussion on the internet about this kind of stuff, and when I checked out that personal situation, the cost of that individual would be $7 a month if the PA 33 went through. Every single person, and I saw you sort of, shaking your head, you didn't save any money. There's possible somebody maybe didn't save money, but the average person with a homestead.
I didn't save money in my taxes. My taxes did go up.
Okay. Well, we can look at your situation, but this is my time to talk. But on a whole, in the city, if you look at the homesteads, the average savings that I've looked at by drawing all these houses out and looking at it was between 30 and 40%. And that's been going on since the peak happened in like 2007, 2008 for most people. So for all these years, we've had, reduced taxes, but I never heard one person say anything about that. In 2012, we had retired 2 debt millages. 3 mills came off your taxes in 2012. But I don't think anyone even noticed that. So I don't think it's going to put anybody in the poorhouse, and I think it's worthwhile investment into the community to increase all of our property values and to keep this city moving strong. That's what we're trying to do, and we all pay the same taxes. The other thing I take a little, exception to is when the people start off, but I've lived here my whole life. But that doesn't give you any special say is what goes on here. We all live here. We all pay taxes here. We all have one vote. We all have an equal say. That'd be like me saying, because I pay more taxes than a lot of people, I should have more say. It doesn't work that way. Just because you lived here longer doesn't mean you got more say than anyone else. We all have an equal share in this community. Mutual aid. I do not believe that we have mutual aid anymore, do we?
You have it in the fire.
The fire does.
The fire, but with the police, I thought we
They
stopped
have
that.
mutual aid
This is my time to talk.
Well,
I did not ask for your comment. I did not interrupt you when you were speaking.
Yeah.
When we got sued for responding to that call in Contraville,
Yes.
didn't we at that time stop?
It's my understanding that we have to hear from Central Dispatch to respond to that call, another municipality to respond to that call. It can't come directly from the officer. So we have to hear from Central Dispatch, but we're limited now. We don't have the state police in the area. The sheriff's cars are limited, and we do get some response from the sheriff's department and some response from Clay Township, but it's much on a limited basis.
All right. There's a whole list here, and I'm not going to go through all the stuff that was kind of sent in my direction, but I don't want my taxes raised either. I don't. I have a new house that I built in 2004, so I pay a pretty decent tax bill. So that increase to me is probably going to be about, 2, 3, 4 times more than to a lot of people sitting in this room. I wouldn't do that, and I'm not a rich person, and I wouldn't do that unless I thought there was a real benefit to everyone to do that. I really do. I honestly believe there's a major benefit to this entire community to plug the hole in the bucket. If we don't, at some point, somebody's going to have to deal with it. It's just like the water department. Yes, in 2009, we were told we had to come up with a plan, and we're just kind of hearing about it late. But all we have to do is come up with a plan next couple of years. When it has to be fixed is not quite certain. But we are taking steps now, like you said we should, to start putting money away so that when we do have to start pulling out these, I guess it's the water lines that are prior to 1965, and because of excess lead, we also have to take every fitting that we have in storage that was bought and throw it out because it doesn't meet the new lead standards. We're talking about a single fitting that could cost $1,000. We got to get rid of it. And we got a whole garage full of that kind of stuff that we can't use them. We got to replace. We wouldn't ask for money unless we think we need that extra money to make the city stronger. And I guess that's my only point. So I thank everyone for coming. I thank everyone for being respectful. And I hope, that we can continue to treat each other with respect. And now I'm looking for
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. No, so good.